right, the purpose of today's webinar, as we're kicking off this series, is to showcase our DQI partners and specifically their implementation of the data quality initiative. Before I jump into that and introduce our partner for this series, I'm going to give a little background on MLC. Some of you are already familiar with MLC, have already joined MLC, and have already begun to register your works and participate in the DQI process. So this may be familiar for some of you, and for others, this may be new information. So bear with me if this is information you're already aware of. So I'm going to get started. So the MLC was created pursuant to the Music Modernization Act of 2018. The MLC offers a new blanket license for digital music providers to cover mechanical licensing of US-based interactive streaming and downloads. I also want to say, as I get started, feel free to throw your questions in our Q&A box as opposed to the chat, and we'll get to the Q&A at the end of the webinar. So the MLC will receive usage data and royalties from digital music services. We then match those reports to our musical works database and calculate and pay out royalties to self-administered songwriters, ex-US CMOs, and music publishers. The MLC is the exclusive administrator of the new blanket license, which is under the Title I of the MMA. And the MLC is the only organization that can collect and distribute the royalties paid pursuant to this new blanket license to rights holders. So this is a quick overview of the US digital music landscape. As you can see, the MLC fits in here pretty nicely. Other organizations representing other types of rights and paying out other royalty types, including PROs, on the musical work side, and then on the sound recording side, we have reproduction and distribution rights, which is directly paid through to record labels and distributors, aggregators, and with digital performance rights on the sound recording side, paid through Sound Exchange. When it comes to the musical work, we have reproduction and distribution rights. The new schema is that the blanket license is administered by the MLC, and those royalties that flows from the blanket usage is paid through the MLC to music publishers and administrators, as well as self-administered songwriters. And then any voluntary license or direct license will be paid to the DSPs, paid through the DSPs and administrators, or depending on if their downloads could flow through the record label. So this structure, I definitely recommend taking a screenshot of this. You can also find this on our website, because it's a really good sort of framework of how the US digital music landscape is now structured. So just quick, what we do and don't do is important. The MLC will establish, well, we have established already, so we've established and maintained a public database of musical works ownership information. We administer the new blanket license. We receive and match sound recording usage to reporting data from digital services with the musical works ownership data that we have. And then we collect and distribute US digital audio mechanical royalties to publishers, administrators, foreign mechanical rights organizations, self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists. What we do not do is administer performance rights for musical works or collect performance royalties. We do not administer the digital performance rights for sound recordings or collect digital performance royalties. That'd be Sound Exchange. We do not administer mechanical rights or collect mechanical rights for physical products. So CDs, vinyl, cassettes, and we do not administer any licenses or collect any royalties related to audiovisual products or lyrics, and we do not administer licenses or collect royalties for the use of musical work outside the United States. We do not replace PROs, and we will not replace Sound Exchange. So who needs to become a member of the MLC? Well, all music publishers, administrators, and CMOs who have the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States. And then only those self-administered songwriters and composers and lyricists who have retained the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States for at least one musical work. The MLC will pay anyone entitled to collect mechanical royalties for a given musical work. Unlike the system for performance royalties, mechanical royalties are not separated into writer's share and publisher share. And then how do you become a member of the MLC? Well, you go to our website and click on the Connect to Collect button. Membership is free. We pay out 100% of the royalties that we receive from DSPs. There's no administration fee from the MLC. And then the data quality initiative, the purpose of this webinar. The data quality initiative is an initiative that enables rights holders to check your data in bulk against the data that we have to identify potentially any potential discrepancies and then to act on those discrepancies. So far, we've had over 400 participants in the DQI. We've compared over 17 million works, and we have a number of webinars on the DQI on our website. So today we're going to get a quick demo of the Vistex platform, our partner for the DQI, who helped us launch DQI last year. I'm going to introduce now our speaker from Vistex, Stephen Carlisle. Stephen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let me just share my screen.
Yep, I'm going to unshare my screen.
Okay, so greetings from London. So I've been working with the MLC on the data quality initiative since the beginning, and we built tools into Music Maestro and into iMaestro to let you take part in this initiative. So what you will do in Music Maestro and iMaestro is create files that you send to the MLC that they will then validate, and they will send you spreadsheets back with their comments on the data. So whether there's missing writers or shares are inconsistent and so on. And what they're doing is they're comparing what you've got in your system, what is in the Harry Fox database. Okay, so in Music Maestro or iMaestro, you're generating this file and sending it, and then you get the spreadsheet back for you to go through and analyze, maybe correct things in your system, re-register. Okay, it's not a registration process. It's for existing works. Your registration process of new works or amended works carries on as usual with Common Works registration through CWR. So I'm going to go through in Music Maestro. Everything I'm showing you is explained in this user guide that's available from your support page. I'm not going to show you iMaestro, but I'll just show you a couple of screenshots to show you how you do the same thing in iMaestro. So we're going to go through really the same kind of thing that we've got here, is how you set it up, how you create it, and send it. And then we're going to talk about one of the questions in the Q&A already was about the royalties. So I'm going to talk about the loading the royalty files as well during this. Okay, so you'll set up. You've got to one of the things that we need to go out on the file is the identifiers for the Harry Fox identifiers, so that they can link it in to what's already in their database. So first thing you've got to do is go to your sources and take your Harry Fox source and make sure you've linked it in to the HFA Society here. Okay, we also export the PRO identifiers as well, if you map them in as well. So they potentially are also helping. You will, of course, going to need a new source for your royalties, MLC. Okay, and one of the things you can do is, now I've got this source here, the royalties are going to be distributed using the same identifier, so they're going to have the Harry Fox work numbers on them. So to make sure that things map, you can use the copy work numbers feature. So you can take your HFA work numbers and copy them to the MLC. Okay, so that will speed up the, that will mean you won't have to do lots of manual matching when you get your MLC statements. Okay, so you set that up. Now, one thing we found when we were working on the initial files that we did is there's a certain amount of data problems. So for example, if I look here at this data here, I've actually got formatting effect characters in here. So this, for example, has got got a carriage return, and this has got a tab character. Now these corrupt the file. Okay, so you need to. We've got a process you run to remove those. So if you go to, it's within the supervisor, and then this custom scripts area, we've got an update statement that will remove those characters. So this thing called delete illegal characters. Okay, so you can do a backup if you want to. Then you pick the profile of songs that you're going to be using. So I've already created a profile. If you're not familiar with profiles, then there's a user guide to creating a profile. It's just a way of linking songs together. So then I'll run that, and that will take away, that will remove those characters from that recording, so it won't corrupt. It won't corrupt the file. Okay, so that's really the basic setup. The information you are going to be exporting is as you'd expect, the song title, AKAs, if there are any AKAs, recordings, so the main recording information, particularly the ISRC. So if you can do any updates, of course, before you do this, of adding any and ISRCs and any kind of identifiers or work you can do would be helpful. So yeah, so you create your, if I go to my profile, so let me just go to my profile I've created. One thing you can do is a quick validation. There's a validation tool within here. So I'm with my profiles. I can do this create song list for profile. And the songs don't have to be CWR compliant, but obviously the better the data, if you can fix as much up front as possible, that would be good. So this is a little feature that does some basic validation. So what it's telling me here, for example, is this song Signal Child has an incorrect mechanical percentages. So you can fix, it lets you, do some fixing of these things potentially before you send things off. Okay. The other thing, of course, you can do is you can run the CWR validation without creating a file. So I can just do this. But as I said, there's no kind of rule that says any of your songs has to be. So I can just do. The validation, not create the file. But there's no rule that says your songs have to be CWR compliant. The idea is definitely that it's a chance for you to send what you have in your system and compare it with what's in Harry Fox. So it doesn't have to be CWR compliant to go out on the file. Okay, so I've got my profile. I've done my setup. Removed the invalid characters. Done a little bit of checking. Got my profile ready. They want you to. The MLC will want you to break your catalog down, so they're not going to want every single song in one file. It tells you on in the user guide how many songs they expect each file, or they can give you that information. But once you've got that done, one thing you've got to work out is they only want, of course, the USA view. So they only want this view here. And of course, you could have used different territories. So I've got USA, and this one's USA and Canada. Okay, so when I create, and this one I think is USA again, just USA. So the export is within this export custom reports area, the reports menu. So I pick my profile, and I can just do the originating territory. So one option is just to send the originating territory. So if you are, if you're a US publisher and you always have the US as the originating one, you can do that. But if you're using different ones in the way that I was there, you can pick the relevant territory or territories from here. So I'm using these two, so I can multi-select US and Canada and USA. And I can do the export. And what it does is it generates, it generates this text file, this JSON text file. It's actually taking that. I'm obviously not Cobalt. That's just my bad test data. It's actually taking that from your Commonwealth registration window here. So whatever you've got on this window here. So whatever it is there will go out on the file. So you need to check this as well. But this is up to date and the appropriate for what you're trying to do. So if I just go back to my text editor. So as you can see, it's just a text file. If I look here at this one, okay, I generated earlier, you can see here where we have this example where you can see it's corrupted the file, okay, because it's got these formatting characters. Okay, so this is the one that would have been created if I hadn't removed that one. So if I come into here, you can see the JSON a bit clearer. So we can have a look at this. So as I said, let's just go down. It's just details of the titles, the composers, the publishers, IP numbers, the collection, and so on, the roles. So so on, so on, so on. Okay, so it just is a export of your Solgood recording information. All right, so then you will get instructions as to how to send this to as an email address at the MLC for you to contact them, and they will just that data quality and so all of this, as I said, is all covered. Everything that I've said here is covered in this document. Okay, so there's nothing. It's all available on your support page. I'm just okay. So in iMaestro, it's very similar. So in iMaestro, the only thing it's you've got within your accessories, you've got the MLC JSON export, and then you then got a page again where you've got your profile to pick, and then you pick the IP territories or the originating system, and then here at the bottom you've got your mapping of your sources so that it can export the relevant work numbers. So it's the same, and of course it creates exactly the same format file. Okay, so it's the same same process really. Okay, within iMaestro and Music Maestro. So let's have a look now as the distributions are starting at the royalties. The royalties are being sent out in what are TSV or tab separated files, and they are basically text files, okay, with a tab delimited. So I can open, so they'll open in Excel. You just need to do find all files and then find the file. So you see it's a .tsv file. Just pick it, open it. It's a delimited file. And there we are. So that's the file. You can see it in Excel. There is a layout as well that they've provided, and potentially this there's a built-in interface in Music Maestro 8.3.12, which will be out at the end of this week. So the MLC can provide a document that explains all of these things, and you can if you want to. If you're not ready to update to 8.3.12, you can use the generic Excel importer putting in the Music Maestro column headers to get the data in. If you're not ready yet to update it, you want to start loading, just need to put in the relevant headings to get it in. But as I said, there is in Music Maestro the new interface, which just works the same way as all the other ones. So I'm just going to do this quickly. Just so you can see the load, what you're going to see. Probably going to be quite a big file, so it's probably a good idea to try and merge the identical lines and finish. And there we are. Okay, so just a completely standard load of the data. Okay, right. So that's the new interface, which, as I said, will be available at the end of the week, and that is the process from the Music Maestro side. So I will hand that back over. See if I've got any. Let's look through the questions. So yes, there will be an interface. But I'll just hand back.
Yeah, if you want to unshare your screen, I'll take it over from here.
Okay.
Stephen, appreciate that. I have a few more slides, and then we're going to jump into the Q&A. Okay, so thank you, Stephen, for the demo of Vistex implementation of the DQI. So what should you do now? Well, number one, if you're not a member of the MLC, you should become a member if you're eligible. And then you can check your data by participating in the DQI Data Quality Initiative. And then also you want to make sure you confirm your payment information so that we are sending payments to the appropriate bank accounts. We just announced our first distribution that was this month. Over $40 million in digital audio mechanical royalties, and we will be making payments on a monthly basis. Just a quick facts about the MLC. We do have our portal, which was built from scratch over 12 months. We wrote out our portal several months ago. This is where you can go and search for your catalog and check your data. We just did our first payment of royalties this month. And our cadence now is going to be monthly basis based on a 75-day cycle. So, for example, royalties earned in January were paid this April. Royalties earned in March will be paid in May. Royalties earned in royalties earned in February were paid in May, and royalties earned in March were paid in June. So there's a 75-day processing time. Since those royalties, since the end of the period, the royalties were earned. So we will be making payments on a monthly basis beginning this month. And we have a support team that is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time, and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now we're going to jump into the Q&A, and I'll be reading these questions from the Q&A feature. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in there. So let me see here. Stephen, there's a question in regards to Music Maestro. It says, are there plans to create an interface for direct importing of MLC statement files into Music Maestro?
Yeah, so that will be that's going to be in the next release at 8.3.12, which I just showed. So yeah, there will be.
Okay.
But as I said as well, if people aren't ready to update and don't want to, they can use the generic Excel importer and put the relevant column headings on. So it is possible to do with it is possible to load them because we worked. You know, we formed a working group with MLC and a number of other parties and went through, came up with the format that should, you know, that would work generally for the industry. And one of the things is that it is possible to use the generic Excel importers and if you put the relevant columns on. But yes, there will be a built-in interface from
Great,
Maestro 8.3.12 and iMaestro. I'm not sure which version of iMaestro, but there will be one in iMaestro as well.
Got it. And you can go to our website to download a template of our statement to see what it looked like if you have not yet received, if you not participate in this current distribution this month. Can record labels obtain the MLC's blanket license to pay on digital downloads, or is that only available to DSPs? So I'll answer that question, obviously. The MLC is administering the new blanket license, which is specifically for DSPs. So individual record labels cannot obtain an MLC blanket license for the purposes of physical goods. Now, if a record label is operating its own DSP, or some kind of internet download store or streaming service, then that could potentially be eligible for the blanket license. But as it pertains to physical goods, CDs, vinyl, cover songs, things like that, that is not the eligible usage for the license. Next question here. Says, is what you are discussing about Maestro and MLC only applicable to publishers using the MLC? Well, I can answer that. The implementation that Stephen just demonstrated has to do with generating files to submit to the MLC. You can submit to the MLC these files if you are an MLC member or an agent of a member. So yes, you would need to be a publisher submitting, or a rights holder, which could also be a self-administered songwriter, submitting a DQI file for the purposes of checking your data and therefore updating that data if there are discrepancies. So if you're not a member of the MLC, then you won't be engaged in data updates with MLC. This might be a question. Let's see. Is there a guide for ensuring the correct identifier data is added to the right place in the DQI report? For example, where can we put the HFA work codes?
No, there isn't. So I'll update the guide to add that. They are the work numbers, but I'll make that clear in the guide. It's a good point that I can put that in, make it a bit clearer that where those
work codes,
where those numbers are coming from.
Okay. Steve, I believe this question is for you as well. What if we only have IP in classic view and not CWR? How do we generate the report to send?
Yeah, you can't. It's relying on it being it's relying on it being the CWR IP view because of the table structures. You could put in a support ticket about that, maybe. Maybe see what we could do. But as it stands at the moment, it has to be in the CWR IP view.
Gotcha. Thank you. What is the ideal file size, number of songs the MLC is looking for in each DQI submission file?
Number I was trying to remember what the number was that we were given. It's in the user guide.
Yeah, I believe the number
10. It says it's
10,000.
10,000 songs was the number we were. So unless that's changed over time, that was what
I think it's 10,000. I actually just verified this number last week with our technology team. The number is 10,000, and I think that's also something that, from a CWR standpoint, we think there shouldn't be more than 10,000 as well. And We also have our bulk file upload, which is a separate file type for a different purpose for registering works, which is 300 lines. Is there a way to get a recording of this? I believe this recording will be up on our website and our resources. Our marketing team puts our website, puts our webinar recordings up on our website. So I believe this should be up shortly. Okay, should we use HFA to upload DQI or use the portal? So neither. So you would need to generate your DQI file with Music Reports, Music Maestro. Let me pull up, and then you need to. You can contact us at data.quality@themlc.com to set up your connection with us to be able to submit the file. Does iMaestro have the same capability to copy the HFA work numbers to MLC?
Not sure. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me find out for you whether that's possible. It should be. I'll double check for you.
Okay. Where can I find a copy of the Vistex/DQI user guide?
So on the one I have written is on the Music Maestro support page. I think I shared it with the MLC, so people there will have it if you want to get it from them.
All right. Does iMaestro have the same capability to copy the HFA?
Oh, that's the same. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. If there are any more questions, I'll wait another minute, see if there's any questions come into the Q&A. Okay. Bishop did not hear the answer to his question, which is, should we use HFA to upload DQI or use the portal? The answer is you should contact us at the MLC to set up your DQI connection. So you want to visit mlc.com/resources or email us at data.quality@mlc.com. So you're going to generate your file with Vistex and your Music Maestro, and then you're going to submit your file to us. You will not submit it through HFA or the portal. You'll have a way to do that after connecting with us via email or through our resources. No problem. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Oh, see, one just came in. Do you guys collect data for YouTube? So we do not. So the MLC does not license for the use of audiovisual works. So for YouTube, for audiovisual works, the MLC does not collect any royalties for that. However, for YouTube Music, it's audio streaming service. It may be licensed under the blanket license. So it just depends on which service under YouTube you're talking about, but not YouTube, the audiovisual works. I see a few emails, I'm sorry, a few questions went into the chat. Do we need to have ISRCs with registrations in order to get royalties? ISRCs with work registrations is very helpful. Our job is to match sound recording usage data to the underlying musical works ownership information so that we can calculate and pay out royalties. We can do that more efficiently when we have ISRC codes associated with the ISWC codes. So when you are registering a work, it is certainly to your advantage to include the ISRC codes for the musical works so that we can better match. If we don't have the ISRC codes, there's other, obviously, other cues that we're looking for to make that match happen. But it is helpful to have the ISRCs associated with all of your musical works, so that match can be made much quicker.
On the subject of identifiers, just to plug another thing that's going on, which is the ISWC allocation service, which is available for you to get rapid ISWCs of new works. So I'll be doing next month, I'll be doing a webinar about that. So that might be something else you might be interested in, another kind of thing that will help everybody, the MLC and the whole industry, in trying to get identifiers, because there's a big problem with a lack of identifiers for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So you might, so you might want to join if you're interested. That would be a Vistex webinar on next month.
If we notice issues with metadata included on recordings on DSPs, example, a recording on Spotify crediting the wrong writer, can we request amendments via the MLC? So metadata is provided to DSPs by record labels, distributors, and aggregators. We do not, MLC does not provide DSPs with metadata. We receive metadata from DSPs as is. So if the information is wrong, you need to correct it with the DSPs, and that will be through your aggregator or label, not through the MLC. So the MLC is more of a one-way recipient of metadata and royalty information from DSPs. We do not send back updates to the DSPs. That information comes through the record labels or the distributor or aggregator. What if we have multiple ISRC codes for different versions of the same song? Would you rather they be registered as a new work? We will want all the ISRCs for individual musical work. So if you have one musical work and 20 ISRCs associated with that musical work, we'd want all 20 ISRCs. For every version, every recording that's out there generating usage, earning usage, and will be reported back to us, we would need to be able to match that unique recording version and that ISRC code to the musical work. So when you're registering the work, you can provide multiple ISRC codes for the work registration. Okay, I'm gonna give another, right now we have no more questions, so I'll give it 30 seconds to see if any questions come in. We have 5 more minutes on today's webinar. Okay, I appreciate everyone's time. Stephen, thank you so much for showing us this demo. Thank you everyone for tuning in to learn more about the DQI implementation of Vistex. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Rudy. Bye.